Hello, my friends, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. On today's docket, we have people saying that you should do something and totally missing the reason why you don't. In this case, it's why people don't trust games journalists. And ironically, the title of this article is It's Time to Start Trusting Video Games Reviewers. As always, you have the key takeaways of the article. Game journalists often beat difficult games, but face criticism and abuse for their reviews. The myth that games journalists hate video games is false. They are passionate about the medium. To find trustworthy game critics, look for those with similar tastes and opinions to yourself. And so first, this entire article really is just a bunch of cope and gaslighting, beginning to end. First, he talks about the fact that video game reviewers play games, hard games, and they have to beat them all in a short time frame, and they don't have any guides to help them. They have to figure out these puzzles and all this other stuff, So you should feel bad for them because, they're playing the game and they have to do it fast to get their review out. And how they don't really hate video games, but they love video games. And that's why they do this. That's why they do the 100-hour video games in a really tight span, because they just love them so much. Well, first, I'm pretty sure they don't all beat the video games they play. In some cases, that's fairly obvious because of the way they talk about the game and its content. Second, most of these game reviewers are just playing whatever game they've been assigned. They're not playing games that they are actually passionate about. That's part of why you end up with reviews that don't understand the game they're playing. It also doesn't understand the type of gamer that plays these games. There's many reasons why we don't trust games journalists, but that's one of the first reasons. One of the things he mentions is Kaylee Plague, who reviewed Cyberpunk 2077 for GameSpot. He talks about how she didn't like the edgy aesthetics. She didn't like the depiction of minorities. She called out the technical issues on PC, and she suffered a barrage of hatred. That is not why she suffered a barrage of hatred. The reason she got the anger from the gamers was because she admitted in an interview that she didn't fully explore the side quests. She did not engage with the crafting system. She did not engage in a number of things within the game. As a reviewer, she should have. The things that she ignored are things gamers want to know about. So we're back to this, why should we trust a game reviewer who admittedly may have a short amount of time to review a game if they're not going to do those things that would be important to someone playing that game? That, in my mind, is an important question. Why wouldn't you engage in these things? She said she crafted one item. Okay, you know what? Even if you don't like crafting items, it's not that hard to sit there and do 5, 10, 15. Especially if you played the game. It says in her review she played the game for 50 hours. So if it's going to take that long, if you're going to take that long, take the 20 minutes at the end of the 50 hours to take the stuff in your inventory and craft some stuff. Attach it. See how it feels. See if you can give a review on it. She admits there are mechanics that she didn't engage in. If you are a reviewer and you tell your gamers that there is stuff you did not do in the game, you can't really act surprised when they get upset. If they're looking to you for a review and you say, well, I reviewed the game, but I didn't do all this, you're not giving a full review. And that is fair. Do I think all games journalists suck at games? No. But I do think that under the structure they're working for these bigger publications who, instead of saying, hey, you like this type of game, why don't you do this thing? Why don't you review this game? They just assign it to who they have, and then that person plays the game whether they like that kind of game or not. There is such a variety in gaming that you can't expect a reviewer to like every kind of game. And if you put the wrong reviewer on the wrong game, you are going to get a reviewer who is not happy. You are going to get a customer who is not happy. And you are going to get a bad review and a bad job. Then you're going to have angry gamers because here they are being given information by someone who very obviously doesn't know anything about what they're talking about. Yeah, they played the game and they can give an idea of their personal experience, but they don't understand that type of game. It'd be like asking me to review a shooter. I don't know shit about shooters. I was just trying to play Deadlock on Thursday night. I could not figure out some of the controls. Thankfully, the people in my chat gave me a few tips, so I had some more of an idea of what I was doing. I would not be someone you would put in to review that game. Now, I was enjoying looking at all the characters, but that's something else entirely. You would want someone who plays those on a regular basis and understands the mechanics and understands what the people who play those games are looking for. So when he goes in to say later that you should find a reviewer who fits your types of preferences, you know what? They should fit the game towards the type of reviewer as well. That is not our responsibility to like something just because, unfortunately, the publisher that you work for assigned you a game you don't like, or assigned you a game type you don't like to play, or assigned you a game type you're bad at. Further, he says to find someone your tastes align with. And you know what? That's exactly what people are doing. Unfortunately for them, where they're doing it is on YouTube. They're doing it on Twitch, anywhere but from the games journalists. Why? Because again, the people who play those games on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter even, are playing games that they love, are playing games that they enjoy, are playing games that they have a passion for, and giving their opinion on it as someone who has a passion for that type of game, not just gaming in general, because you can't do just gaming in general unless you are someone who has an extremely generalized taste in games. And that kind of person is rare. I would say Sophia Narwitz is probably somebody that you could say has a generalized taste for gaming, because she'll play just about anything and she'll platinum it. It's a little crazy. I mean, she's a little crazy in general. Sophia Narwitz is definitely somebody that I would trust to give me a base idea about just about any type of game. I wouldn't necessarily take her as an overall expert on any one type of gaming, but I would feel comfortable going in and saying she has at least a base idea of what kind of game she's dealing with and what her personal enjoyment is, because she has a wide taste in gaming. But most people, from what I can tell, and all these game publications don't have that same thing. Kaylee Plague did not seem like the type who generally enjoyed that kind of game. She was overwhelmed by the mechanics. And you can say it's because of the amount of time she had to play it before she had to get a review out or whatever. But she didn't seem to understand how a person who generally plays a game like Cyberpunk 2077 would actually want that information. And it's really an important piece of the puzzle for many people. Then you have this lovely note. There's another issue here to do with reading comprehension and media literacy, but I won't go into that today. I hate it when they say media literacy, because what they mean is you're not interpreting it the way they want you to. If you want people to interpret things the way you want them to, then you need to be pretty explicit. You can't just assume people are going to understand what you're saying, especially when you're talking to people with a much larger variety of opinions than your own. You're not talking into an echo chamber. You're talking to a very wide group of people who are going to have a lot of different opinions. He really doesn't like the fact that Cuphead is repeatedly used against them, and brings that up with the Elden Ring DLC and the people reviewing it. Look, when it comes to those kinds of games, again, they are a niche market. They start with the small group of people who are really passionate about these very difficult yet fun to play games. And then they branch out to a larger audience who is less capable than the smaller group, who then branches out further to even less capable people. And it continues on from there. Then you get people who want to play the game but aren't capable, but you have modders who are very much able to make it easier so that other people can access it and are willing to devote the time into that, and so they do. That does not change the core base. Realistically, in my most charitable read on this, the thing Ben misinterprets from the anger gamers direct at journalists is that we think journalists hate games. We don't really think journalists hate games. Well, we think some journalists hate games because they basically act like they hate the game they're playing. That is the fault of the publication and the journalist. The fact is if you mismatch a person with a game, they're not going to give you a happy review. They're not going to give you a good review. They might be able to cover the base mechanics, but they're not going to be able to tell you anything that actually matters to someone who loves that type of game. However, we do very much believe that they hate gamers, and they say as much over and over and over again. They tell us how much they hate us because they don't understand us either. He says you should find your Roger Ebert. People are finding their Ebert. But the fact is they're not going to find them in the games publications, because the games publications don't care about making sure that the people who play the games actually like the game they're playing. Not saying that they don't like gaming in general, or that there isn't a genre that they have a preference, or that they don't have a genre that they love, or any of that. I'm saying that they have to love the type of game they're dealing with, or at least like it. You don't have to love every single type of game, but you have to at least like the type of game that you're reviewing. If you're someone who likes a Pokemon type game and you don't like a Souls-like game, if you are forced to review a Souls-like game, you're not going to have fun with it. You're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to engage in the mechanics in the way that a Souls player would, in a way that they would want to know about. And that is part of the problem, is while they might be passionate for games, they hate gamers. And I've already said that. They talk about being for diversity and all of that stuff, but they're only for specific types of diversity. And the diversity of thought is not the type of diversity they want. They do not seem to understand that while gaming is a whole, there are little bits of, there are tiny communities inside of it. And he actually says that. Gaming in 2024 is team-based. Your Team Xbox or Team PlayStation, Team Fortnite or Team COD, Team Stellar Blade or Team Censorship, Team Developer or Team Journalist. That's how many gamers see it, at least. Now, unfortunately, he misses the point again. Yes, gaming can be very team-based. There are many people who are on Team Xbox or Team PlayStation or Team PC. There are many people who are Team Shooter, Team RPG, whatever. There are groups out there for everything. And these groups do overlap. But the fact is, when you tell a group that your opinion matters more than the opinion of the people who have been part of that group for however long, that you are the arbiter of what they should like, nobody's going to trust you. And that is why one of the reasons we don't trust game journalists. We don't trust game journalists when they review the PlayStation 5 and put a diatribe on capitalism in the middle of their review. We don't trust games journalists when they tell us that we're being sexist for enjoying looking at a woman. We don't enjoy playing a game when they're trying to tell us that a historically based game lacks diversity when it's set in a location that is predominantly of one kind of ethnicity. We don't like it when we read a games journalist site and it's telling us that a game doesn't have enough inclusivity because it has no women, and then people play the game and find a number of women characters in that game. We don't like it when we say, hey, this character looks weird to us, and we're told that we just want to sexualize everything. We don't like it when we say, hey, this game's kind of weirdly sexual, and we're told that we're bigots for not liking that kind of sexuality. These are all statements or based on statements that have been made in video game reviews. If they want people to trust them, then they have to give people a reason to trust them. You can't just say, hey, you have to trust us. Because no, we don't. That is part of the market. The market now, because getting your opinion out there is so much easier than it has ever been, is now between the gamer and whoever they choose. They can watch another everyday person just like them play that game, and then they can make their decision from there. They can make their decision based on someone who has never written a video game article in their life, uploaded a Let's Play of them playing whatever game it is, and saying what they think of it. And that is a video game review. That is the reviewer they now trust. We do not have to trust a games journalist. We don't. And that's who he means when he says you need to start trusting games reviewers. Because he doesn't mean channels like mine, if I would post a video game review. He doesn't mean watching your favorite streamer play the video game. He means IGN, The Gamer, Polygon, Kotaku. He means them. We're supposed to just start trusting them. And if we trusted them, where would we be? What games would we have missed? Are we supposed to not play a game because they review it poorly? Or are we supposed to not play a game because we decided we don't want that game? These people seem to think they're supposed to have far more power than they do, than they need, than they deserve. And thankfully, we are at a place in terms of technology where we do no longer need them. And they are so upset about it. They are trying to pull every trick in the book they can think of to bring us back. But we're not coming back. They can either get with the program and start understanding what gamers want, or they can find out what happens when you don't. Because we all know what happens when they don't. And I don't know what kind of jobs they enjoy. I might have to start learning to code. No, learning to code right now is a bad idea because a lot of coders are losing their jobs. I do like fries with that, though. It's kind of snarky, I suppose. However, a few things I want to cover at the end of this video. This is the Kickstarter for the Theft of Fire audiobook. Theft of Fire is a sci-fi book written by Devin Erickson, and it is an amazing take on sci-fi. He has a way of writing characters that you're going to hate them and love them at the same time. The characters feel real. They feel fleshed out. The science in the book is amazing. The way he puts you into the minds of these characters is astounding. Now, you will see they have met their goal. $35,000 of a $5,000 pledge. There's 28 hours to go. But personally, I would like to see them get even more support. If audiobooks aren't your thing, you can get his book on Amazon. I will have a link for this and the regular book in the description if you're willing to check them out. I would like to get to the point on this channel where I could do book reviews as well as talk about video games, but I know I kind of have to wait for that a bit just to keep YouTube happy with me. It's a whole thing. But we'll get there eventually, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Secondly, I would like to thank all of my members here on my channel. DX Machina NZ, Emperor Doomsday, Zan Zoltan, Snake Oil Sean, Schmitted, Mogo, Green-Haired Anti-Liberal, Michael Wheeler, and Adam Splitter. I genuinely appreciate you guys so much for being members here on the channel. If you would like to support the channel, it is $5 a month. You get the videos immediately. I have started a Discord. There will be an invite for the Discord in the description of this video. It's not very fancy at this stage, but I'm working on it. The more people who show up, the more things I'm able to do, though. There is a members only section in the Discord as well. In the event you are not interested in supporting through a membership, there is a throne wish list in the description as well. It mostly includes stuff for my animals, stuff to help me improve my setup, that kind of thing. But none of that is required, but it is genuinely appreciated. But so is any amount of time you spend here on this channel listening to me yap. I cannot tell you how much I really appreciate that. All that said, what are your thoughts, guys? Do you think we need to go back to trusting games journalists? Or is it time to let them gracefully age out? I think you know where my opinion is, but I look forward to hearing yours. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. If you really liked it, you can feel free to share it around, and I will catch you later.